Good morning and happy Saturday. Welcome back to the Daily Grind. I'm your host, Chump Change. This is live and recorded. And for anybody that might be new here, what we typically do is go over crypto news in the space. I update myself, bring you guys along for the ride. Let's see who's here in the chat, and then we'll get into this. Mr. Son of a Rabbit, appreciate you, buddy, for being the first one here. You're awesome. We have 619. Actually just said in the chat, Soarchain admin Discord hacked. Don't click any links. So I figured I needed to read that. Shout out to you though. Thank you for letting us know. I did not know that. Andrew Masad, Steven Cicero, good to see you, buddy. Black Hat Team, Power Minds, my man, good to see you. Dumpster Fire, as always. We have Kyle Rosa, Tyson, what's up, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. Dan R. Let's see, what's up, pretty boy, says Steven Cicero. Why you gotta be like that, man? You gotta make shit weird all the time. Dakota Miner, what's up, dude? Geek of all trades, look at that. Good morning. Good morning, sir. Everybody else I may have missed, Chris Hanley, appreciate you guys. Let's get into this. Check out the market today. We're looking like Bitcoin 51,341. Look at that. We have Ethereum at 29.74, almost 3,000. Looks pretty good. DOT is up to $7.85. We have Solana at 102, XRP at 54 cents. Let's see, Uniswap's been killing it, actually. It had a 50% pump or 63% pump, $11.70. Pretty crazy. Let's see, what else? Nothing else really popping out at me. Near maybe $3.55. Dogecoin, 8.5 cents. Pretty nice market. LTC's at $70, not too bad. What's Kaspa looking like? 16.6, still at 16 cents. Pretty good. All right, let's see, biggest earner on the day. As you can see, Uniswap 44.4% up on the day. We have ETH DYDX $3.67, up 26.1%. We have Render down 10.5%. Let's see, Theta Network is up 1.39% on the day. FET is down 107. Damn it, I didn't sell my SIA, and I should have. 1 cent, 1.5 cents. I should have sold it. Knew it. It's dead. It's going down, Power Minds. It's going down. We have Singularity Net 73 cents, near 7.5% up. Let's see what the biggest earner on the week is, actually. Let's see, which one is it? This one, AGIX, Singularity Net. Again, 73 cents, 78.5% on the week. Damn. We have World Token, or World Coin rather, 69.9% up on the week, $8.24. Render is at 39.8%. Look at that. Luke, what's up, buddy? Appreciate you, man. Thanks for being here. All right, let's move on to Fear and Greed Index. Flashbang. Let's see, we're looking like 72 today. Not too bad. Again, I still think this is pretty neutral, but we're undecided right now, right? They can't figure out, or we can't figure out, if things gonna go up or gonna go down. It's one of those things, and I was kind of talking about it yesterday in the stream with the wife. Should I DCA into Bitcoin, or should I throw a chunk in now, or half of a chunk and then another chunk after the halving? Who knows? What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. I don't really care about this till it's about over 75, and then I really start contemplating on what to do. Usually though, when it's greedy, you want to do the opposite of what everybody's doing, right? If people are greedy, you want to be fearful. If people are fearful, you want to be greedy. Crypto KJ still in bed, not a surprise. Got hammered for your 40th birthday. You deserve it, buddy. You deserve it. All right, top 10 coins, coin market cap over on CoinGecko. We have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, BNB, Solana, XRP, Lido Staked Ether, USDC, Cardano, and Avalanche. Dogecoin is in 11th place, climbing up. Just flipped Tron. Look at that, by 200 million. Not too bad. Let's see, Litecoin still in 22nd. Just kind of scroll down a little bit. 28th. So Kaspa's holding in top 30, which is pretty good. We have Ethereum Classic in the 30th place as well, $25. I really hope that Ethereum Classic does something well this run. I don't know if it will, but I hope so. Let's see, Render's in 43rd. Not too bad. Anything you guys want to look at quick before we get out of this section? Let's see, only going up from here. I hope so. Just turned 43. Well, shout out to you, Chris Hanley. Happy birthday, buddy. Happy belated. I don't know when it was, but we sang. My wife sang Crypto KJ happy birthday yesterday. It was fantastic. You should have seen it. All right, let's move on to the mining segment of things. We'll get back into coins in a minute, or at the recap of things. Looking like, you guys know I like to timestamp this stuff. The IB Link BMKS Max is making $112 a day. Still mining Kaspa. most profitable miner out there. You guys know that other coin, Cedra, is more profitable, but I guess mine, the ASIC, has not gotten the memo that there is another coin that's more profitable. Strange. Anyways, regardless of, by the way, that coin, right? I don't know if that's going to be good or bad, right? At the end of the day, a coin can't be a scam if you could sell it for profit, right? So take profits. That's all I could say. If it's more profitable, hell, mine it and sell it. Why the hell not? I mean, you can 100% over on Trade Ogre. It's listed, so have at it. The Windminer K9 10.3 terahash unit making $110 a day. We have the Ice River KS3 8 terahash unit making $84.42 a day. KS3M 6 terahash unit making $60.91 a day. Is anyone here chasing Cedra, says Pellish Miner? I'm not chasing it, but I did mine it for like 2 days. Yeah, I think I have like 50,000 just to bank it, and then yeah, it's just kind of chilling on Trade Ogre, and we'll see what happens. The Ice River KS2 2 terahash unit looks like it's making $20 a day. Not too bad. Let's see, the Ice River KS1 making $10 a day. Wow, that's actually still pretty good. That's still pretty good. Let's just scroll down a bit. X16Q, I have this thing going to unMineable for Neoxa, mining ETH hash. It's making around $7.01 a day, but this is at 10 cents kilowatt hour. You guys know I pay like almost 30, so yeah, I'm not making that much, but it's help heat in the house, so it is what it is, and it's quiet as shit, so can't complain there. All right, the Antminer L7 9050 I also have going to unMineable for Neoxa, $4 a day. I got mine hosted down at Terra Hosting. You guys are interested, links are in the description. It is way easier than running it at my house, not gonna lie. Let's see. All right, the Ice River KS0 Pros 200 gigahashes, 100 watts. Well, mine are like 90-ish, and they're still making $2 a day, so hell yeah to these things. All right, perfect. 20 likes. Yes, 20 likes. What the hell? Hit the like button, guys. Saturday. I know you're just drinking your coffee, you're sitting on the toilet. What in the hell? Hit that button, will you? God damn it. The original Ice River KS0 100 gigahash, 65 watts, making $1 a day. That's not too bad, honestly. 65 watts, $1 a day. That's pretty amazing. All right, let's real quick look over here at hashrate.no. You guys can see this Cedra coin is actually listed here, and we can see, let's see the difference. So right now the revenue on this coin is 138 bucks, and let's see, what was it here? It is at 112 for Kaspa, so it's getting closer to about $20 more mining Cedra. But then obviously take into account that this is a real speculative coin. They literally copied everything from Kaspa, the white paper included, and just added AI. So I don't know how good this coin's gonna be in real life, but it seems all right for now. So do what you will, take that as you will. All right, GPUs, what are we looking like? Looks like NXL, another fork of Kaspa, is on the top of the chart still for GPU mining. We have Hyper and Lithium as usual. We have Pyron, Nexa, nice, Ergo and Radiant. Yeah, Ergo and Radiant, and then we have Chlor, top of the charts. Nice. So a little bit of a few different coins today. At least it's not all one. Not all one. We have Dynex and the A4000. Look at that. Interesting. I haven't seen Dynex in this chart in a little while, actually. Dynex. How's Dynex looking, actually? Let's see. It was pumping the other day. 4.73% up today. We are at 84 cents. Nice. Nice. It's climbing back up. It's actually getting pretty decent. It's consistently growing. I mean, regardless of the spikes, you know, not too bad. Could be worse. How's Flux doing? Look at Flux. I don't know if anybody's mining Flux, but 88 cents. This thing had a good pump. Had a good pump, and I was stupid and sold out at like 42, like here-ish, to buy my Ice Rivers. But I'm not mad about it because I got the units, which is cool, and the Flux wasn't doing anything for me. But it would have been nice to have double the amount. Would have been 2x. Damn it. That's all right. I lost out. All right, by the way, Uniswap, flashbang. Uniswap price gains 50% after fee sharing. Going on to the new stuff. Governance proposal. Uni went up 50% run after proposal from the Uniswap Foundation suggested rewarding Uni holders who have staked and delegated their tokens. So that is why Uniswap's pumping. Apparently, that's the news on it. And yeah, That's about it. All right, let's move on to CNBC television. I want to see what they got to say over here. Nvidia proves the AI bull market is not over, says Deepwater's Doug Clinton. Let's see what he's got to say over here about AI and Nvidia's earnings. Let's get into it.
Joining me to share his tech playbook, Doug Clinton of Deepwater Asset Management. Welcome back. What do you think Nvidia proved to us this week?
I think it proved that the AI bull market that we're in right now is not over. I know there's a lot of questions about the valuations of the Mag 7 and how quickly those valuations seem to have changed, at least how quickly those stocks have moved. But I think that what NVIDIA's results showed us, and a lot of Jensen's commentary, was that it still feels like we're pretty early in this AI bull market. That doesn't mean that we might not see pullbacks here and there as we go from what we think is a bull market now to what will inevitably become a bubble. I think it will take a few years, but I think that it kind of gave us a little bit of an all clear in terms of continuing to be excited about that AI theme.
So you would agree with some like Adam Parker, for example, on the show, who makes the argument we're not even close to the end. In fact, we're barely past the beginning of this whole boom and what it's going to mean. And as such, you need to remain very heavily invested in these large cap plays.
I would agree with that. Depending on what analogy you want to use, you could say that we're in 1996 of the 2000 boom, if you want to equate it to that. Maybe that means we're in inning 3.5 or 4, something like that. But I think that that's the right perception. You know, we're still early on. Obviously, the market is starting to get the reality of how big AI is. So it's not in the very beginning, but I still think we have several years to go. The thing about the Mag 6, I'll exclude Tesla for this quick discussion, is that even though they've moved so much, I think people see this emotional reality. They look at the charts, they look at these mega cap tech stocks being up 50, 100% in the last year. The fundamental reality, though, is that they're not that expensive. I know Tom just mentioned on the last segment, NVIDIA trades at about a 3% free cash flow yield. If you actually look at the average for the Mag 6, it's about 3.5%. You compare that to 4.6 or 4.2 rather on the 10-year. For the best companies in the world, that's just not egregiously expensive.
Sure, but they're not all NVIDIA, right? Maybe we also learned that this week with what happened with Palo Alto. Now, how would you assess what that lesson is to be learned, if any, from the way that stock ran up into the number and then the way it plunged from it?
I view that as sort of separate from the AI discussion, and it really feels, I'd say, idiosyncratic to Palo Alto. The issue there was really the strategic change that they've made, and I think on top of that, we've kind of had 2 or 3, or I think 2 out of 3 rough quarters here in a row, and it just feels like there's more concern growing about the forward growth opportunity for the company. So anytime a company comes out and talks about changing the way that they're going to market, in the case of Palo Alto, kind of offering more free products, trying to get more customers in the door, and then ultimately land and expand, I think that raises questions for investors, and they're probably going to have to show that this new strategy will result in the kind of growth that they've talked about over the long run in the next couple quarters before I think people get really excited about the stock again.
That makes sense to me. I'm also not trying to suggest, that Palo Alto is some great, AI play. But if you look at let's say the euphoria, how it's being represented in the market, I would go 1A, AI, 1B, in many respects, cyber, right? Those stocks and the way that Palo Alto and some of these others ran up when everything theoretically was going up, whether it's software, cloud, AI, is that cause for concern to some degree?
I think it depends really on the companies that you're invested in. So one that we own, CrowdStrike, we still think that they have a pretty long runway for continued growth. If you think about cyber as an industry, why has it had such a bid, maybe similar to AI, not quite as aggressive? I think the reason is that because as we go into this AI age, cyber is going to become a more important part of every company's infrastructure spend. They have to protect whether they're doing training on models, whether they're running inference on models. They have to make sure that they keep that data secure. That's a cybersecurity application. And then on top of the AI opportunity, we also have a persistent tailwind of, I think, increased global turmoil. So these companies, I think they reasonably do have this strong tailwind from emerging AI, from the global tailwind, where you could argue that they should be able to grow 10, 20+% a year for the next 3 to 5 years.
Shout out to that guy for that. Amazing. Somebody said Pelosi, let me see, Pelosi's up like 400% or something. Oh, sorry, 300K in just a couple months thanks to NVIDIA and insider trading. It doesn't surprise me. All right, Crypto World, CNBC Television, FTX to sell shares in AI startup. All right, let's see what they got to say over here. Guys, that like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. Sorry, I was into the chat. Let's do it.
FTX.
Why is this shit highlighted? What is happening? All right, there we go.
Green light to sell its stake in the AI startup Anthropic. Reddit says it invested part of its excess cash in Bitcoin and Ether. And Muneeb Ali of Trust Machines breaks down how spot Bitcoin ETFs are influencing crypto's price action. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Tanea McKeel. Digital currencies are lower to end the week. Bitcoin ticked lower by less than 1% by noon Eastern, trading above the $51,000 mark. Ether also in the red today, pulling back by more than 1% in the past 24 hours. And Solana's down as well, but keeping above $100. For the week, Bitcoin was lower by 1.5% by noon Eastern and on pace to snap a 4-week win streak and its longest such streak since November. Ether outperforming it, however, heading for a more than 5.5% weekly gain and poised for its 4th up week in a row and longest winning streak since November. And taking a quick look over at Wall Street, I want to highlight a few crypto trading related stocks like Block, Coinbase, and Robinhood. Shares of Block surging by midday after the company reported a surprise profit in the 4th quarter last year, including $66 million in gross profit from Bitcoin. It also reported a strong outlook for the year.
Wait, what is the SQ? What is the SQ one she said? Hold on. Sorry, guys.
Winning streak since November. And taking a quick look over at Wall Street, I want to highlight a few crypto trading related stocks like Block, Coinbase, and Robinhood.
SQ is Block? Odd.
Here. Okay, let's talk about the top stories. A judge in Delaware approved FTX's proposal to sell its stake in the AI startup Anthropic to pay back its customers and creditors. Per yesterday's ruling, FTX can now sell its shares after the crypto firm reached a compromise in court with a group of customers that had initially opposed the sale. About 8% of Anthropic is owned by FTX, according to court documents. That purchase was made by Sam Bankman-Fried, its disgraced former CEO. Based on Anthropic's last reported valuation, FTX's stake is worth an estimated $1.4 billion. Compare that to the $500 million SBF invested back in 2021. Now, the group that initially opposed the sale argued that FTX didn't actually own the shares because they were purchased with money embezzled from FTX customer deposits. Yesterday, they agreed to move forward with the sale as long as they can argue later that customers own the money that would be generated from the future sale. Reuters is reporting that an FTX attorney said in court that the bankrupt company intends to pay back customers using the sale proceeds and that it has enough cash to repay any specific group of customers that can convince a court that they owned the Anthropic shares.
Did anybody here lose money in FTX? Anybody? Just put a 1 in the chat if you did. You don't have to like get into details, but I wonder if anybody gets paid back. I guess if anybody did lose money, let me know, because I'm interested to know if people are actually getting paid back or not.
The lawyer added that FTX currently has $6.4 billion in cash. FTX expects to pay back all customers in full, although the repayments will be calculated based on November 2022 crypto prices. That's when FTX filed for bankruptcy during a prolonged downturn in the crypto market. Next, a Montenegro court ruled that Do Kwon should be extradited to the U.S. to face trial on fraud charges instead of his native South Korea. According to the Associated Press, Kwon's lawyers have 3 days to appeal the ruling by the High Court, and that the appeals court will have the final word in the case. The Wall Street Journal reported that a local attorney for the disgraced former crypto executive plans to appeal. Both the U.S. and South Korea have been trying to extradite Do Kwon in an effort to prosecute the co-founder of Terraform Labs on charges stemming from the collapse of Terra USD and Luna. The ruling this week in Montenegro could make it possible for Do Kwon to be in court for the SEC's trial against him over an alleged $40 billion crypto fraud. That trial is scheduled to begin on March 25th. Finally, social media company Reddit revealed in its IPO filing yesterday that it invested part of its excess cash in Bitcoin and Ether. That makes the company one of the few firms that directly holds crypto on its balance sheet. Others include Elon Musk's Tesla and Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy. Yesterday, Reddit filed its IPO prospectus with the SEC after a years-long run-up. In the filing, Reddit said it holds crypto and experiments with blockchain technology. The company added that on top of the investments, it also acquired Ether and Polygon's Matic token as a form of payment for sales of certain virtual goods. Reddit also wrote that as of December 31st, 2023, the company did not hold digital assets other than Bitcoin and Ether for treasury purposes, and that its investment policy requires approval by its board of directors for any crypto investments. The firm said its investments in crypto for treasury purposes are limited to Bitcoin, Ether, and any other cryptocurrency that the SEC, CFTC, and other regulatory agencies identify as likely not being a security.
Eat shit,
Reddit plans
Gary.
to trade on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker symbol RDDT, and its market debut is expected next month.
Nice.
All right, let's talk more about crypto markets for our main story. I spoke with Muneeb Ali of Trust Machines about the latest moves in Bitcoin and Ether. As a co-founder of Stacks, he also weighs in on the growing trend of Bitcoin Layer 2s as a focus of this year.
I keep looking at her necklace and I think it looks like a little clown charm, which is hysterical.
I want to start with some price action, and I'm curious about what you make of the price action in the crypto markets this week. And let's talk about Bitcoin specifically. We're seeing a lot of moves up and down. You know, we had a couple of catalysts this week, but so I do want your initial reaction to those moves, but also want you to zoom out a little bit, because I think that the kind of moves that we're seeing since the launch of these Bitcoin ETFs last month has been a little bit more interesting. It seems like it's changed a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, so I think the Bitcoin ETFs have been a game changer, like for sure, because I think if you just look at the inflows that are coming in, the numbers are extremely strong. Like I think they are much better than what people expected them to be. There is a ton of demand from traditional financial institutions, traditional sources of capital that want exposure to Bitcoin. So I think the ETF launch, I think, has been extremely, extremely strong. And as I said,
This guy looks like a Disney villain, says Crypto KJ. He kind of does look like the Jafar guy from the new Aladdin movie.
a game changer. Basically, what's happening is that there are different levels, even how these financial institutions operate, right? Like right now, they're mostly working on inbound demand. They aren't even going outbound. Right? Like imagine the marketing reach and distribution channels that a BlackRock or other large institutions would have. They haven't even turned on any of that machinery, right? Like it's mostly like inbound demand right now. And the third level is typically when they can actually start making allocations for their clients automatically, right? So because they pick the portfolio and they can just have an automatic allocation to Bitcoin, and that's like level 3. We are operating at level 1 right now, right? And the kind of inflows that we are seeing, they just speak for themselves. So Bitcoin now has a clear demand on a very scarce asset, and that asset is about to get even more scarce with Bitcoin halving. And I think that's basically my takeaway, that we know from previous data that whenever Bitcoin goes up, it sort of like pulls the rest of the industry with it. And I firmly believe that Bitcoin ETFs are playing that role. And some of that is now, we can see that in other assets as well, because Bitcoin is sort of going up. I think it's sort of interesting that it's actually not, like in the grand scheme of things, it's not moving that much. It's like sort of like stable at like that 51,000 sort of a range. And if I would take, like, I don't have any inside knowledge on this, but if I would have to take a guess, I do think that ETFs might be sort of like, managing their demand reasonably, because they probably want to buy in this range for as long as they can. So even if they're getting more demand, they're probably being more sophisticated about it, not to like suddenly just unload that much demand on the market.
And if we could talk about Ether for
No, it's kind of an interesting way to look at it, actually. Not causing any pumps by, buying a shit ton, because so like when people buy ETFs, it's not really buying on the market. It's buying whatever Bitcoin that those companies hold, right? Like say BlackRock, they have like a holding of X amount, and that's where they pull from to give you like a little piece of paper saying, trust me, bro, this is how much you got, type deal, right? So it's not really touching the market, which is kind of neat to think about. So I wonder if BlackRock and those companies are just purchasing little at a time to keep it steadily floating, like you just said. And yeah, I mean, that makes total sense, actually.
a second. It's in the red this morning, but it's been a big outperformer this year and this week. What do you think is driving that? We are hearing a lot about the excitement and the hype around a potential spot Ether ETF. Do you agree with that as being sort of the driving narrative here? And how do you see that path to an eventual approval of spot ETFs as compared to what we just experienced with the lead up towards the Bitcoin ETF approvals?
Yes.
Real quick. So like these big companies, right? So Blacksail said no, they placed the order. So no, they don't. They don't. When the ETF, well, people purchase the ETF, right? The Bitcoin ETF. They don't. BlackRock doesn't turn around and just go buy that Bitcoin, right? You're buying from their holdings. That they like have to hold a certain amount. So if BlackRock wants to DCA in every day and just continuously stack their amount, they're pulling from their funds to give it to you. So it's not really spiking the market like a normal big buy would be. Do you know what I mean?
So I think the Ethereum thing was probably like long overdue. If anything, it was very surprising that Ethereum was lacking so much for such a long time. And I think it was a very interesting dynamic, and I think that dynamic.
And the reason behind that is because they're not actually like the person that's buying the ETF's not actually getting the Bitcoin, so there's no reason to actually do that. You know what I mean?
It's probably going to play out more.
Yeah, it's a Bitcoin promise.
Well. So basically what's happening is Bitcoin, as usual, is leading the charge because of the ETFs, but also because of Bitcoin L2s as well. There's a ton of interest in Bitcoin L2s. And then typically Ethereum would follow. Ethereum would be the fast follower if any sort of like interest goes up in Bitcoin. And that wasn't happening. In fact, Solana was actually getting a lot more attention. I think Solana went from its lows to trading at like around a 40 billion market cap now. And I think it saw a lot of growth. It was probably taking a lot of attention that would have otherwise gone to Ethereum. It was actually going to Solana and some of the other projects. So Ethereum was for a very long time like not moving or not getting a lot of attention. So I think it was sort of like long overdue. It is the second largest asset. A lot of people use it and so on. So I think it's in my view it's sort of like caught up, right? And it was actually surprising that it took it such a long time to catch up, which to me is an indicator that the world has changed for Ethereum, because a couple of years ago, the Bitcoin L2 category just completely didn't exist. So with
real quick, that is true. Matt K said the ETF needs to have a minimum amount of BTC, but they do need to have the correct amount of BTC to back the shares. Yeah, so yeah, exactly. You're right. Like they have to hold at least the amount that people, have in their portfolios in their holdings to be able to supplement that, the offset, right? They got to like equal out. But if BlackRock has more BTC in their holdings, that's kind of what I'm saying. If they have more in their holdings and the ETF demand isn't the entire holdings they have, it's not going to spike the market. They're just going to continue to DCA in slowly at this cost, right? 50,000 or right around here, until the real hype comes in and more people get into the ETFs, and then they have to steadily like increase their buyings. Do you know what I mean?
The Bitcoin L2 category coming up, it's emerging very rapidly. And the alt L1s like Solana, Avalanche, and others, they have actually matured a lot more than they were before. So some of the interest that would have otherwise just gone directly to Ethereum, I think now it's getting divided between two almost like new categories, the Bitcoin L2s and the more mature assets like Solana now.
And actually, let's stay with L2s. If you could take a step back with me for a second, remind me and our audience why Bitcoin L2s. We've had all of this focus.
Real quick, Black Sales said, Chump, let's say BlackRock bought at 51K price, dropped to 45K. What's going to happen then? They place hundreds of orders every day. I mean, regardless if they place hundreds of orders every day, it's not, the ETF is not buying on the market. It's buying from BlackRock, and they're not even buying. You're just getting a piece of paper. But I think you're mistaken. Like, it doesn't matter what the price is. They're getting X amount of Bitcoin for that price. It's going to go up and down. It doesn't matter. It's not going to change the amount of Bitcoin they have in their portfolio. It's just the price. I mean, it's no different than a stock. Just because the stock price goes up and down doesn't mean you have more or less shares. Do you know what I mean? So I think you're confusing that. But yeah, no, it doesn't matter. I mean, yeah, they're obviously, I'm assuming they're DCAing every day. I would. I mean, they're a giant ass company. Why not? But they're doing minimal amount to not spike the market, to keep it at this steady level so they can get as much as they can before everybody else, whatever, makes money.
On Ethereum and the Ethereum alternatives, why build on Bitcoin versus one of those other networks?
Yeah, so I think basically the mental model that I use is you should separate BTC, the asset, from Bitcoin, the rails, right? Like Bitcoin, the technology. And BTC, the asset, has clearly proven itself, right? Like it's the pristine asset, it's the thing that everyone sort of like understands that this is like sound money. It's digital gold. It's a hedge against like inflation or things going wrong in the financial markets. And I think Bitcoin is probably the only asset that has established itself like that and has gained that much institutional adoption. So now we have something like $1 trillion of capital that mostly just sitting there. And traditionally, it's been sort of like pretty hard to program Bitcoin and to actually build things on top, like kind of things that you see built on Ethereum and Solana and so on. And I think in the recent years, and this is some of the work that we have done at the Stacks project, and there are others, Bitcoin L2s out there that have done this, there have been like significant advancements and breakthroughs. The Bitcoin L2s are now like possible, right? And people see them coming. It's becoming a category. There are tons of new projects getting funded, similar to what we saw on top of Ethereum as well. So remember that even on Ethereum, most of the usage is now on Ethereum L2s because Ethereum L1 can't take that many users and traffic. So Ethereum L2s are something like a $70-80 billion market. And I think Bitcoin L2s are very new. They're like a $5 billion market right now. And some people, sort of like project that Bitcoin L2s should be bigger than Ethereum L2s because there's more capital to work with. There's $1 trillion in capital, and programmers are coming in. They're building all sorts of like lending protocols, decentralized exchanges using these Bitcoin L2s, and it's a very exciting time to be in Bitcoin right now.
Okay, that's all for crypto.
Shout out to Crypto World, CNBC. All right. They also sell. Why are they selling? Which is also something else Mr. Black Sail said. So it's no different than like a whale buying and selling, right? Like they're obviously going to sell when the price is higher to get the gains and buy it lower, right? Because they have enough to probably push the market up or down, right? So that would be my guess. They're just snacking more, right? That doesn't mean they're getting into the holdings of the people that have the ETFs. They're not going to dump enough, or like they legally have to hold as much as they have sold in ETFs, right? So they probably have that bag over here, and then the extra stuff is probably what they buy and sell with to accumulate more. So when the actual thing hits, they don't have to like dump in all their money. Do you know what I mean? It just makes sense. 650, let's go, says Mr. Red Panda. Appreciate you. Thanks for being here. All right, let's get into videos of the day. I want to see over here. I haven't had a chance to watch these. So Bitcoin just broke. Never happened before. Don't know what this is about. Lark Davis, let's see what he's got to say over here. If you guys haven't heard of him, go check it out in the description. Hit that like button, please. Appreciate you all.
Let's get straight to this. This
God.
time is well and truly different for Bitcoin.
Shit.
Things are happening that have never happened before, which leads me to speculate that maybe I'm wrong and I'm not nearly bullish enough on the reality for what's coming here. Maybe I'm mid-curving this whole thing, aka I'm an idiot. I should bet more. What if this cycle takes everyone by surprise and does something truly unexpected? Well, we need to see things breaking already in our models, something that basically show that everyone's wrong. Well, let's look at what just happened, because that's exactly what is happening. Something has never happened before just happened, and it could be an early indicator that this cycle is going to be way crazier than we think it is. But in order to understand the context, let's look at the last cycle and throw a nice little Fibonacci retracement here so that you can see.
Hey, Jeremy. I'm not usually like this, but eat a dick.
See that from the time of the
Get
market
the
bottom
fuck out of here
to the post-Bitcoin halving price
negative
highs.
bullshit
So
on the
get past
channel.
Bitcoin halving, then you get a price high. We never once closed a weekly candle above
Stay
the orange
broke,
line.
bitch.
That orange line represents the 0.618 Fibonacci line. Now, we did have a nice rally in 2019, as this chart here shows, that got rejected from the 0.618 line, but never have we crossed over that line before the Bitcoin halving. That is until now. By the way, it took over 1 year from the time we crossed over the 0.618 in 2020 until the market hit a peak high in 2021 at 70K, a number which, by the way, was around the 3.618 on the Fibonacci lines. Interesting, right? More on that in a minute. I could show you the previous cycles and you would see something very, very similar playing out that looks kind of like all that right there. But let's look at the current cycle. One example is enough. You see, this cycle, it was all going just fine. Everything is going to plan. We had a strong rejection for the 0.618 line, basically on the day of the Bitcoin ETF starting trading, as the green arrow on the chart shows here. But then something strange happened. Things didn't go according to plan. You see, after that cheeky little 20% sell-off following the ETF approval, the markets started pumping. In fact, they pumped so hard, that something happened that has never happened before. We started trading over the 0.618 line before the Bitcoin halving, which has never happened before, and essentially is happening 9 months ahead of schedule from what we would likely expect to happen based on our 4-year models and all that kind of stuff. Now, the models that we've used before could be completely broken at this point. So what happens next could follow none of our modeling. But for reference, previously, when we broke the 0.618 line, in all cases, we had about a year before the market peaked, meaning that this cycle could peak earlier than previous cycles, which tend to peak about 18 months post Bitcoin halving. We could see February next year be a likely market peak time, and maybe.
And you know what? That's interesting that he's saying that, because we've all been thinking that is this peak going to be sooner than later? And I mean, like the guy Tom Lee said, he said 150,000 by the end of this year, which is kind of it's kind of shocking to hear people say that, right? The end of this year. Panda, Jesus Christ.
Price wise, around $100,000.
Panda, go take a cold shower. God damn it.
Maybe a little over $200,000, which, if we take the 3.618 fib line, that one again, as guidance, since this is where the previous cycle topped out, that's where the green arrow is pointing on the chart.
That'd be amazing. 200,000,
around $250,000. Now, last cycle, we spent about a few weeks in total trading over the 3.618 line. So it'll be a very short sell window there. The 2.618 line, the orange arrow here, is a very interesting area too, where you should probably consider starting to book in profits, starting to ladder out. Last cycle, we spent a few months over the 2.618 line on the Fibonacci charts. The average price during that time was over $47,000, aka a nice and profitable time to sell for most market participants. But maybe none of that matters, because BlackRock has fundamentally changed the game. They've broken the charts, and none of this matters anymore. And before we break that down, I just want to let you know about Wealth Mastery, the best and most interesting. Don't you? But perhaps.
Sorry, I had to jump in front of that.
I think it was pretty interesting. Don't you?
I don't know what he's talking about. Anyways.
Perhaps the models just don't really matter anymore.
I think that's like his newsletter thing. If anybody's interested, go check out his channel.
Essentially activated an infinite bid of Wall Street money for Bitcoin. The Bitcoin ETF, as I have said many times before, is a once in a market liquidity event. Inflows in the last few weeks have been in the billions.
Andrew Masad says 120 to 150K. Pellish said 150K. He said, I'm not seeing it. 100K sounds more realistic. Yeah, I mean, you know, so I don't know, like 100,000, right, is kind of like that. It's going to be that level that's hard to break through, or it's just going to completely smash it. That's just my opinion. I don't know. It's psychological, really. It depends how many buy orders are there, but I'm assuming, like, people like to sell at round numbers, right? So it's gonna, like, people sell it like, you know, say 60,000 or 70,000, 80,000, but most people, they probably have sell orders just under 100,000. But who knows if the hype of it, when it gets that high, if the buy orders will increase past how much they're selling, and then, you know what I mean, see ya. It's just gonna completely blow through it.
Seeing days where BlackRock and friends are buying 10x more Bitcoin than,
you know what I need? I need to get a magic 8-ball actually and just shake it, and we can ask it questions.
Miners are producing. That's insane numbers. That's completely unsustainable to current prices. The only solution is for the price to go up. Bitcoin has just opened the doors for tens of billions, literally, of cash to flow into this asset class.
I'm gonna order one
the
right now.
models we have based all of our thinking on for Bitcoin could be obsolete. Still have to prove that.
For you, Jeremy.
Just one thing's broken doesn't mean everything's obsolete. But look, maybe even Wall Street was not fully ready for what's coming here. Even the gold ETF may not be a great parallel, because gold has a lot of features unlike Bitcoin. For example, the supply is infinite, the supply is unknown. And let's face it, gold's never had 1/10 of the popularity of Bitcoin. Gold holder, by the way, so not totally hitting on gold. And while gold ETFs were wildly bullish, the economics of gold have never been anywhere near as bullish as they are for Bitcoin. Think about it. Bitcoin, 21 million coins, max supply, 6 million coins lost forever. 75% of the coins in the hands of total fanatics who have exited fiat and are not coming back. Bitcoin halving in April, coming at the time of unprecedented rising demand in the market. And without any of those wildly bullish features, gold still went up a few 100% in the 7 years post ETF approval. I firmly believe that Bitcoin will go on to match and likely exceed the market cap of gold because it is the inherently superior asset. Could happen as soon as the end of this decade. Now that gives us a per coin price, just matching the market cap of gold, $650,000. So Bitcoin can go from $1 trillion to $13 trillion total market cap. This is a gain bigger than the gold ETFs brought in. But Bitcoin, again, has better economics that can help the price pump that much. And probably in an even shorter time frame than gold did. Bitcoin is the most hyped and best performing asset of the century. It's the apex predator of money. It's the Giganotosaurus, or the T-Rex of cash, of internet money. And now people can buy it just by opening up their favorite investing app. Click, 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 click. Oh, I have some Bitcoin now. And then you consider that Hong Kong's bringing Bitcoin ETFs. Korea's bringing Bitcoin ETFs. Europe's already got it. Brazil's got it. Canada's got it. And you realize then that all this is happening with a supply crisis in the background, just adding fuel to the fire. There is simply not enough coins to meet demand. Supply on exchanges is at a multi-year low right now. It hasn't been this low since like 2015, 2016. Retail buyers are still completely asleep to what is going on. The retail herd hasn't even shown up yet. And there's like $6 trillion in money market fund accounts right now earning 5%, which is laughable, of course, compared to Bitcoin gains. What happens when the Fed starts cutting rates? Where does that money go? You know, at least a few percent is coming to Bitcoin. 1% of that $6 trillion, $6 billion, which is a lot of Bitcoin. Nation states are coming. Okay, UAE, Oman, these guys are paying attention. Corporations are coming. Family offices are coming. Millionaires are coming. Billionaires are coming. Basically, the whole world is underexposed to Bitcoin right now. And the hard, cold truth is that there is not even close to enough for them to buy. As much as they might want to buy it, it doesn't exist for them. They don't have it on the market because you were here first. You got it first. And here's the thing with Bitcoin. The price in 5 to 10 years is extremely likely to be much higher. And all you have to do is nothing. Just hold and wait. Now you can play the sell at 200K and rebuy at 50K game. But if you have balls of steel,
that's a gamble,
and you like a bit of suffering and pain, you can just hold on, man. You can just hold. I have strong.
How many of you guys have held the last rip? We all just held it down. Terrible.
Fiction that Bitcoin is going to $1 million per coin. I have a huge Bitcoin bag. The only question is when it's going to get to $1 million per coin. And that when could come sooner than we think, because the models, as we have used them and have understood them in this market, are starting to be broken by the infinite money glitch that has been turned on thanks to BlackRock and friends. Let me know in the comments what year you think Bitcoin is going to hit $1 million. My money's on
$1 million. You think it's going to hit $1 million? Maybe. I mean, I don't know. Maybe someday. That seems like a lot, but I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibilities. I guess we've seen crazier shit.
2033, but 2029 also an interesting possibility.
2029. What is that? The next? Yeah, it's the next 4. No, it wouldn't be the next 4-year cycle. Why would it be 2029? Weird. I don't know. Anyways, all right. Crypto zombie. We're gonna get into this. Bitcoin. It's not a drill. This is not a drill. 246 days left. You've been warned. I don't know what this is about. I haven't watched this yet. So hit the like button, guys. Appreciate you for hanging out. We're gonna raid Crypto Mikkel after this. Let's do it.
Nope. You don't need the money supply to increase. Nope. Deflation is not bad. If the prices go down, that's a good thing. Bitcoiners have been suffering from deflation.
By the way, the 8 ball comes tomorrow, so I will. I'll have a magic 8 ball for Monday.
For the past 15 years, and it has been absolutely glorious. And there's nothing better than it. Everything just keeps getting cheaper in Bitcoin. I mean, people complain about food prices going up. They're not going up if you're holding Bitcoin. House prices are not going up if you're holding Bitcoin. And the alternative to holding Bitcoin continues to be to play the fiat circus. And that's just a losing game.
You guys see this? He has the best beginnings to his videos.
Bruh. Oi!
Oi.
What's going on, guys? KW here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel.
Great.
Hope you're having a great
That was one of the best ones he's had. That's great. That's
day today.
hysterical.
Now, in today's video, I have something really awesome that I want to share with you guys. This is a little bit of a different kind of special video, but you're going to want to watch this one to the end, because when you understand what could potentially be happening for Bitcoin, and this could happen in 250 days or even less, we're going to enter into something that I'm going to refer to as Bitcoin chaos mode. Now, what is all this about? Well, simply put, we know that the 4-year cycle is not quite playing out the way that it usually does. Generally speaking, Bitcoin is not this high before the halving, right? We're only about 25% away from the all-time high. We also know that Bitcoin generally never gets above the 0.618 Fibonacci, right? Without a massive retracement. Well, we had a mini retracement, but we're still holding above that today. Now, is this because of the ETF demands? Well, that...
Andrew, if I put him on 2x, this guy would be like, I don't even know. We wouldn't even be able to understand how fast he's talking now. We'd be screwed.
That is something that we also have to touch
No
on
way.
today as well. And, you know, a lot of people say that it's the diminishing return theory, right? So obviously, based on diminishing returns, Bitcoin should really only hit between around $70,000 to $90,000 this cycle, right? But could things be about to change? So we're going to talk about that. I want to dive in super quick and look at the lower time frame, but I don't want to focus on too many of these shorter charts today. As you guys can see, we did break out of this ascending parallel channel, and currently right now what we're doing is we're retesting
Support.
the top of this
That's
as
neat.
support. So if we do continue to hold and have that breakout, then the next level would be around $55,000 to $57,000. Of course, if we have the breakdown, then I'm really just thinking some kind of a retest right here on the heart line,
46-ish.
which, you know, would bring
40,
Bitcoin
yeah.
maybe back down to about $47,000 to $48,000, right? But another thing to note is that risk
What's
on
the worst case in his channel, right? It's down to what, 45-ish?
is still clearly happening, specifically in the S&P, which looks like, I mean, depending on what happens,
I
you
mean,
know,
let's be real. The worst case is 0, but it's never going to happen.
next couple of hours, this candle is most likely going to close out of this range, which means that we would have a weekly candle breaking out of this upwards trend, which could signal the appetite for risk on, right? Bitcoin is still in this parabolic advance, and the interesting thing, like I said, is generally speaking, you can see we did have that breakdown from the 0.618, but this was a very, very quick move that got bought right back up, and currently we're sitting above it right now. Now, if you remember, if we actually look at what we did last cycle, and we take this down here, we obviously had Bitcoin coming all the way up to about the 3.618, right? And that basically called the top right there. Now, I don't want to get crazy with the numbers right now, but, you know, just out of curiosity, if we were to match simply what we did last time, well, the 0.3618 would put Bitcoin at around $210,000 this cycle. Now, that seems a little bit contradictory compared to the 70,000 to 90,000 conservative view if we were to follow the diminishing trends, right? But this is where it's going to get really, really, really interesting, guys, because as you see, Bitcoin is entering into these overbought areas, and that doesn't necessarily mean that a massive correction is due. Yes, we've obviously had multiple 30 to 40% corrections, you know, during a lot of these rallies, but you could see the last time that we've done this, you know, for example, back here in 2016, 2017, Bitcoin had a 3,647% rally. Right here, 2019, 70%. Then we had that pullback, 405% in 2021. So the big question is, you know, what is happening next? By the way, shout out to Jelly. This was over on Twitter. If you guys aren't following me over there, you definitely are probably missing out.
Jelly?
But what I want to talk about is that we're hearing these sort of, you know, bigger claims about these bigger numbers again. I mean, Tom Lee, you know, he's got his calls.
I said 75. What did you say to me?
I think it's, you know, could be as high as 150,000 this year.
So double what I...
That's crazy. And see, that's kind of why I'm like, shit, like, I feel like I should buy more Bitcoin. Like, instead of keeping money in your savings account, why not just put it into Bitcoin? But at the same time, it's like, it's obviously risky because nobody knows. But I mean, this guy's like usually on point with stocks. I don't know.
thought was...
Yeah,
I know you guys think.
150,000, so we're tripling at this point.
yeah, because you've got demand improving with the ETF, and you have the supply shrinking with the halvening. And if monetary policy eases, which we expect, you know, that's supportive of risk assets. And Bitcoin's holding up. I mean, that's another reason why I don't think a drawdown is going to start that soon. I mean, Bitcoin's been rallying the last couple weeks.
So is that a possibility?
Risk it all, says DJ. You know what? I might. I've been really fence sitting on this one, DJ. I'm not gonna lie, just because it's like I already have a lot of my portfolio is in crypto, And there's a point where it's either you put it all in or you just friggin', I don't know. It's just, I'm fighting myself with this one, and I'm not usually like that.
Well, I mean, we're not even close, you know, on here. For example, we talked about these pi cycle indicators, and we also said that if we looked at basically the level of interest and volume, if you watch my previous video, that buying Bitcoin at these levels, if you do believe in the cycle theory, is the equivalent of buying Bitcoin for around between $10,000 and $18,000 back in 2020, right? Before it went on a 400 to 500% move, depending on, you know, where you got in. So this is what we're going to talk about, and I hope you stick around. And guys, also don't forget that MetaSignals is they got 159 spots remaining until they close.
China obviously has its own push in,
but obviously price does increase as time goes by. So before we get into it, did you guys happen to catch the Donald Trump Bitcoin question?
China. You know what? Somebody said this yesterday, and they actually didn't say it correctly. Somebody said something about him being against Bitcoin, but that's not at all what he says here. So
obviously has its own push in the Chinese digital currency. But isn't the next logical step for you to embrace Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin obviously is decentralized. The government can't get its hands on it. What about Bitcoin with all the young people, including African Americans, who are very interested in it?
Well, a lot of people are doing it. I always liked one.
The fuck? Why did she just have to say that part? What the fuck?
Currency. I call it a currency. I like the dollar, but a lot of people are doing it, and frankly, it's taken a life of its own. You probably have to do some regulation, as you know, but many people are embracing it, and more I'm seeing people wanting to pay Bitcoin, and you're seeing something that's interesting. So I can live with it one way or the other. I've always liked one really powerful thing, and that's called the dollar.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like he kind of like can't say that he like loves Bitcoin. He kind of has to say that he loves the dollar, but didn't sound like he had any issues with it. Didn't sound like he wanted to ban it or get rid of it. He was like, yeah, it's here to stay probably, and we should regulate it, right? So here is where we're going to get into the main part of the video. This is what I'm seeing. Now look at this that came out from Sentiment Data, okay? If you
actually, Matt K, real quick, in the chat said, I was planning on buying the ETF in my IRA, but my damn broker doesn't allow ETFs to be purchased in retirement accounts. So I bought MicroStrategy instead. That's smart, for sure. They see, like, that's the other thing here, right? So not all like New York Life and those, like, the people that like will get into ETFs eventually for all the IRA accounts and the 401ks and all that stuff. That's like the next catalyst when it comes to these ETFs. That's what people are thinking about anyways, right? So who knows? Once everybody gets on board with this Bitcoin, it's gonna be game changing.
You look at the different wallets, what you're seeing is wallets that have less than 1 Bitcoin in it actually saw about a 1% decline. Wallets that have between 1 and 1,000 Bitcoin in it basically stayed level. But here's where it gets interesting. Wallets that hold over 1,000 Bitcoin, which is, you know, obviously giant whales, institutions, you know, we don't know who these guys are, has jumped 7.5% in 30 days. So while retail is getting bored, or they're panicking, or maybe they're moving into altcoins, which, you know, obviously I do believe that the altcoins are going to start having a bit of a move. At the same time, the big whales, the big money has been loading up on Bitcoin. And if we come over here and have a look at what Mike Novogratz was talking about, he actually has direct access to these institutions. And this is what he said is really happening.
Listen, we've come a long way fast, both in U.S. stocks and in crypto. I mean, crypto, it's almost felt too easy, right? You know, we've gone up almost every day. And so it wouldn't surprise me if there's some consolidation, right? Trees don't grow to the sky. But I think the big story is we've now opened up the institutional, really the RIA community, right? $45 trillion of wealth are managed by brokers. And, you know, we've got baby boomers who own most of the wealth in America, and they're getting their first easy access to Bitcoin. And you're seeing it through these ETFs, the massive growth in a very short period of time in this whole ETF complex. And I don't think that's going to stop, right? Last night, we had $135 million of inflows after that slowed down from 400, 350. Paul Tudor Jones taught me early on in my career that prices get set on the margin, right? And so when we've got more buyers and sellers, prices go up. And I see a kind of a constant, these are hodlers as well, right? These are guys that are buying, put it in their portfolio and hold. They're not traders. And so the ETF buyers in general that are coming through these RIA channels, I think are taking supply off the market. So I still see Bitcoin ending the year a lot higher. That said, could we consolidate around here for a little while? Of course we could. Right? There are big channels that still aren't turned on that we know they're going to get turned on.
Oh,
right?
that's what he's talking about here. The big channels that aren't turned on, probably like, who was it? Who said it in the chat? Matt K, probably like your financial guy or whatever, the broker.
We're in conversations with them. These are the big platforms. And like there's an inevitability to it. Why? Because their customers are calling and bitching at them and saying, we want to buy Bitcoin with you. And so then the sales guys who get paid for selling stuff are screaming at their bosses. And so I'm certain it's going to happen.
So here's an insane...
So things will change because like people are going to start allocating what 1-2% into this stuff. So I don't know.
Chart that came out from the Bitcoin Times. So in the last 28 days of trading for the ETF, we had 167,000 outflows from Grayscale, right?
That's crazy.
But if you ignore this right here, because keep in mind, this is Bitcoin that was already in circulation, we can clearly see that the demand for Bitcoin is outpacing this GBTC outflow, right? Not to mention the fact that right here, we have about 25,200 in Bitcoin that were mined in the exact same time. So that's 272,000 Bitcoin in 28 days, okay? In 28 days. Now, look at this over here. This is the Bitcoin on exchange, which continuously keeps falling lower and lower and lower. In fact, about today, we have only roughly about 12% of all of the Bitcoin on exchanges. The rest of the Bitcoin is basically in wallets of holders and people that are not looking to sell. So if you just kind of round Bitcoin, let's just say that there's about 20 million Bitcoin. I know it's like 19 million, something like that, but I don't feel like doing that kind of I don't want to do that kind of math today. So let's just say there's 20,000. This is the benefit of the doubt, 20 million, excuse me. So if we take that number and we come on back over here, let's just do some super quick math, okay? So 272,000 Bitcoin. So let's just do, there's 2 million on exchanges, okay? And obviously you divide that by 272,000. I know this is a little bit of weird math, but just stick with me how I'm doing it. So that's 7.35. So that's also how many of these are going to be mined, right? So 7.35 times 25,200, right, equals 185 whatever and change, plus the 2 million that we have on the exchanges right now. So that is all the Bitcoin that should be available or, mined in that time, give or take. Obviously, there's going to be some fluctuations. Now, if we divide that by 272,000, right, which is the average of what we had in 28 days, that puts us right here, guys, at literally 8, okay? 8, which means that if this does continue to happen at the rate that it's happening right now, if the demand stays the same, obviously we can only make so much Bitcoin, right? And the amount of supply on exchanges stays the same, then that means that in 8 months from now, there would literally not be enough Bitcoin to meet the demand.
That'd be
There wouldn't even be any Bitcoin left. Now,
end of October, November. That's crazy.
I know that sounds insane. That sounds absolutely wild. Is it really going to get that intense? But the question is, leading up...
What do you guys think? How legit you think that is?
Even getting close to that point, can you even imagine the supply shock that Bitcoin would experience in that time period? So these are where some of these numbers get really, really crazy. And if you want to just ignore the fact that we have the institutions, right? And keep in mind, all of these previous rallies were driven by retail and, just basic speculators, maybe some high net worth individuals, but definitely not family offices, definitely not pension funds. We didn't have any of these ETFs, right? So as CTO Larson pointed out, and if you guys aren't following him, excellent content over here. He basically...
It is weird timing, but the pumps have been quicker and quicker, right? Shorter and shorter since every time it halves, a pump happens, within what, a year or so? I don't know. It's getting crazy. It's gonna get even crazier. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibilities that it's gonna go completely insane by the end of this year. But again, the Magic 8-Ball's not here, so we'll find out Monday.
Basically breaks down one of the most interesting models mathematically done that I've seen, comparing all of these previous parabolas, pre-halving and post-halving, and what he was able to come up with was absolutely mind-blowing. And before you even watch this clip, I want you to remember that this is just based on numbers. It's not even considering the supply shock and demand and chaos mode that I just showed you.
We will now analyze what happened before the halving and what happened after the halving. Then we will switch to this chart. The first parabola didn't have any halving, so here we don't have any data. But the second parabola did, and the gain was 6x before the halving over 376 bars, 6x over 376 bars, and after the halving it was 96x over 367 bars, 367 days. And now you already saw something interesting. The part of the parabola that was before the halving and the part that was after the halving was almost exactly the same number of days. The second part you see is that the pump after the halving was bigger than the pump before the halving. Now, let's see what happened with the other halvings. Let's move to the second halving, which happened in parabola number.
This is a new way to say halving. This is definitely a new way to say it. I have like the worst headache, and this white screen is killing me.
Price appreciation before the halving was plus 300%, meaning 4x over 542 days, 542. Post-halving gain was 29x over 526 days, 526. Interesting! The pump before the halving and the pump after the halving was almost exactly the same length. And again, the gains after the halving was bigger than the gains before the halving. Let's move to the third halving in parabola number 4. Gains 2.7x before the halving over 513 days, 513. Gains after the halving until end 2021 was 700% or 8x over 548 days. Again, the number of days before the halving and the number of days after the halving where the parabola was intact, where we had an ongoing pump, was exactly the same before the halving and after the halving.
That's really neat, actually.
And again, the gain after the halving was significantly bigger than before the halving. Okay. Let's move to parabola number 5 and the fourth halving that will come soon. The estimated days vary a little bit between services, April 20, some say April 22, doesn't matter exactly, but it will be somewhere around the 20th of April 2024. And that
this guy sounds like Borat.
That is very soon. We are in this parabola today. Of course, we don't know exactly what slope it should have, but if it is something like this, and of course we can modify it as we get closer. From the bottom to the halving is 3.5x over 516 days. 516. And now you see something similar. The duration this time from the bottom until the halving is practically exactly the same as in the previous two parabolas. And the gain before the halving was very similar to the previous two. In fact, it's probably exactly the average of these two. Now, let's add one column here, and that is gain post divided by gain pre. So how much more after the halving did price gain compared to before the halving? So the first time it was 16 times more, second time 29 divided by 4, it was 7 times more. Next time it was 8 divided by 2.7, it was 3 times more. So as you can see here, the extremeness of the difference has dropped by about a factor 2 each time. So let's assume that it drops again by a factor 2, that we get 1.5 times the pre-halving
after 150k, right?
After the halving. So 3.5x times 1.5 times 5.25x. Days, what should the day be? This is like one of those IQ tests where you should answer what's in the box. Since these have been so similar every single time, I think we just assume that the length will be the same. So 516 days. So according to this model, after the halving, we could get a 5.25x pump over another 516 days. So where do we
It'd be like
end
200,
up
wouldn't it?
Then, so what was it now? 5.25 times. That is 425%. 425% over 516 days. 425% over 516 days. That would take us to 300k September 18, 2025.
I don't know about
$300,000 in September 2025. And then an 80%
maybe
correct.
2025, maybe.
which would take price back to 60,000, which would make a lot of sense since that's approximately the current all-time high resistance level.
So this is what a lot of people are just simply...
That was really good, even though my freaking head is pounding now. But that was really neat, actually, how he did that.
Not understanding. You know, I'm a TA guy. I do TA. I'm not going to do any TA today, actually, because I really want to just focus on, you know, the idea of this supply crunch and the idea of what is really coming for Bitcoin. I mean, look at how far Bitcoin has been able to come.
Guys, we need 4 more likes. Please hit that like button. Appreciate you.
In the past 15 years without the help of the institutions, without the help of the ETFs or any of these other products. And now imagine that they're here. And look at the rate at which they're accumulating. And I have to end on this note because it's very important. You know, I don't want to go super down the libertarian path, but also it's not just the fact that they have the exposure now. And of course, it's a great performing asset. And yes, it's a great store of value. It's also the fact that if you look at what the government does, right? And I'm not saying, you know, what to do with taxes, obviously pay your taxes, all that other stuff. But like Nayib Bukele was pointing out, right? He is the president of El Salvador. He was discussing taxes and he was discussing Fed policy. And this is also another major reason why I believe that the world is going to wake up to Bitcoin and more people are going to continue to allocate larger portions of their portfolio.
For instance,
all right, we're going to jet after this guy talks.
The financial situation of the United States. When I talk to my conservative friends right here, they always tell me that the problem is high taxes. But they're wrong. Of course, high taxes are extremely high here in the United States. I give you that. You're right in that. But
come to Massachusetts, it's even worse.
That's not the real problem. The real problem is not the high taxes themselves, but the fact that they are not even really funding the government. Not even those high taxes, higher than a lot of places in the world, not even those taxes are really funding the government. So who's financing the government? Government is financed by treasury bonds, paper. And who buys the treasury bonds? Mostly the Fed. And how does the Fed buy them? By printing money. Bruh. But what backing does the Fed have for that money being printed? The treasury bonds themselves. So basically, you finance the government by printing money out of thin air.
Bitcoin. Yeah, someone just yell Bitcoin. Mr. Solar Miner, my man, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Mr. Kyle Rosa, Nicholas Pitts, Whale Tail, Crypto Backer, and Easy Work. Make sure you guys check the community post for members only. Appreciate you all.
Well, so if
thank
the
you, Solar
government
Miner.
can print the limited amounts of money out of thin air, why did they collect taxes?
He's got a point. He's not wrong.
I mean, the theory would make sense, right?
The person that yelled Bitcoin, though, dude, give that guy a medal.
They can print unlimited amounts of money. Why would they need taxes for? The answer
It's so
is simple,
true.
but it's very shocking.
It's so true, though.
The real problem is that you pay high taxes only to uphold the illusion that you are funding the government, which you are not.
That's so fucked up. That's so true. Oh my God, that's so crazy, though, to think about. That's fucked
It's
up.
shocking, but it's true.
It is true.
The
It's to
government-
keep us in order. That's what it is. It's just to keep you in order. So you can just keep being a freaking worker bee, you know what I mean?
The government is funded
That's how it
by
is.
money printing,
I get it, but it's fucked up.
paper backed with paper,
That's really fucked
a
up.
bubble that will inevitably burst. The situation is even worse than it seems, because if most Americans and the rest of the world were to become aware of this farce, confidence in your currency would be lost, the dollar would fall, and the Western civilization with it. If the next president of the United States doesn't make the necessary policies and structural changes, sooner or later that bubble will burst.
So that's it for me today, guys.
The government, we're so fucked. We are so fucked. Anyways, all right, let's see. Anything in the chat? Bitcoin Cash and ETC halvenings are this year. So the ETC is actually a 5th inning, but Bitcoin Cash, I'm not sure of. I don't know when they actually are, but yeah. All right, so let's see. Let's see what we're looking like now that we've went through an hour of our lives. $51,407 for Bitcoin. Ethereum's $29.75. Still looking pretty good. Let's see. How are we looking for? How's Honey looking, actually? Any coins you guys want to look at before we get out of here? 19 cents over here on the Hivemapper. Not too bad. Did anybody else actually upgrade their Hivemapper? Did you guys get that email saying like they're going to be doing this like Hivemapper B dash cam now, and you can upgrade, just pay the difference of the invoice or some shit? I'm just keeping my original order. Hopefully they still deliver on it, because it's supposed to come in May and I don't want to wait till December, but that's just me. Bitcoin Cash is slated 16 days before BTC. Oh, really? I didn't know that. 16 days before BTC halving? Crazy. Everyone upgrade, that way I get my OG sooner. Yeah, well, I'm hoping. So my whole thoughts behind that is actually, you know, if I get it in May, I can actually still, you know, earn whatever, even if you get more with the other, the B or whatever the hell it's called. I'll still have it for 6 months before everybody else gets the other ones. Let's see. Oh, Mr. Steven Cicero gave me the calendar. Let's see. The halving calendar. Let's see. Bitcoin Cash 41 days. Nice. And Bitcoin SV, let's see, what is hold on, upcoming events. Oh, all right, there it is. I was gonna say, I'm like, where's Bitcoin? 57 days. In NiceHash is like 52 or something, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, yeah, so these are all the halvings coming up. If anyone cares about Chia. Well, what is this? What is LTRM? Litorium? What the hell is that? Foxed coin? What is happening? Crazy. Radiant. Look at Radiant's gonna be going through one. Nice. ETC is going through a 5th inning again. 94 days. Nice. Hopefully we see a nice pump in that. That'd be cool. Kyla coin. You know what? Kyla coin's one of those coins that isn't there only 21,000 Kyla coin, if I'm not mistaken. Am I wrong on that? 21,000. I think it's 21,000. It's like the lowest. Yeah, max supply 21,000 coins. It's like the lowest supply of coins ever. It's $100. Wow, that's actually, is that cheap? Is that cheap? I feel like that's cheap. Yeah, the shit was at like 500 bucks. Is Kyla coin, does anybody know what this coin does besides like be stupid scarce? Does anybody know? But shit, that's not bad. I kind of want to buy one coin just to have it. I mean, like 1 out of 21,000. That's so little coins. That's the only thing that makes me want it. I don't know why. It doesn't do anything. All right, well, I'll just go myself then. I don't know. That's the only reason I would buy it, though, is the 21,000 coins. It's supposed to be peer-to-peer use, like every other crypto. Okay, gotcha. Scarcity is the whole thing, I think. Yeah, that would be really the only thing that I care about, actually. Interesting. All right, guys, listen, we got to get out of here because I went way over my time, and Mr. Crypto Mikkel is live, so we're gonna go raid him again. Solar Miner, thank you for the gifted memberships. You're awesome. I'll see you guys later on tonight for Misfit Mining Saturday Night Live, and my members, you're in for a treat. So we'll see you guys then. Have a good one, and peace out.
Eat shit, Gary. You are a loser. You always lose.
Perfect.